Hi everyone, my name is Napri and my partner for this assignment is Jason, and this is our Indigenous Lands assignment. We would like to start off by acknowledging the hosting nations that KPU currently resides upon, which is on the shared unceded traditional and ancestral lands of the Kwantlen, Musqueam, Katzie, Samiamu, Tuatsin, Kakite, and Coquitlam peoples. The two places that I chose for this assignment remind me of my fondest memories of my childhood. The first place that I chose is Cultus Lake, which is located in Chilliwack, BC. The reason why I chose Cultus Lake is because growing up, I remember my family and my cousins always getting together and spending the whole day at the lake, and sometimes we would go multiple times during the summer on the weekends. I remember spending these day trips boating, swimming, and playing badminton with my aunts, uncles, and cousins. I have some of my fondest memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. While Chilliwack and the Fraser Valley have several First Nation communities, Cultus Lake belongs to two nations, Stalo Nation and Squamish tribe. The Stalo Nation Society, as it exists today, evolved from several organizations that emerged in response to the Trudeau government's 1969 liberal Indian policy, usually referred to as the White Paper, and this is something we have covered in our class previously. In 1995, the Stalo Nation submitted a statement of intent to the British Columbia Treaty Commission identifying their collective Aboriginal rights and title extending beyond the East Fraser District Council and including their traditional territory from the dry rack fishery above Yale to saltwater resources of what is now known as the Salish Sea. 21 bands joined the Stalo Nation, who formed the first board of directors, known as Special Chiefs Council. The second nation is Squamish tribe. The territory includes entire Chilliwack River Valley, including Chilliwack Lake, Chilliwack River, Cultus Lake, as well as parts of the Chilliwack municipal areas. The tribe has been entrusted with the stewardship of the traditional territory, where it exercises Aboriginal rights and title on behalf of the seven member communities. Any individual or business entity contemplating the use of their traditional territory in any way is advised to respectfully engage the tribe early on in consultation and information sharing process. The Stalo Nation may access the Quicklestone Stalo Service Agency Justice Program, which focuses on relationships and interconnections of all living things and healing individuals, families, and communities. Quicklestone reflects a way of life that incorporates balance and harmony. It is a way of helping one another to survive and to care and share amongst all people. It is a form of justice that focuses on relationships and the interconnectedness of all living life. Referrals to a Quicklestone justice can be made from one of the 5 sources. It could be a self-referral, community agencies such as Crown Council, Ministry and Family Service, it could be the RCMP, the courts, or the fisheries. In order for a referral to be accepted, the person who has done the harm must be willing to take responsibility for their actions. The person harmed must be kept fully informed of the process and invited to participate. Quicklestone Justice accepts referrals from all Stalo Nation bands and First Nations living in Stalo territory from other areas in BC and from other provinces. The second location that I have decided to choose for this assignment is Tonquin Beach, located in Tofino, BC. Here is a map of the beach, and there is an arrow pointing directly to the beach that I'm talking about. The reason why I chose this location is because growing up I would go camping to Tofino with my family. So when I think of Tofino, I think about a time in my life when I was stress-free and I had no worries. Moreover, some of my fondest memories come from the time spent camping with my family. Even though we didn't go camping every summer, whenever we did, it was always an exciting time because my aunts, uncles, cousins, and family friends would take weeks to plan out our camping trip. And during that time, I didn't necessarily appreciate these camping trips always, but as I have grown older, some of my greatest memories are attached to these camping trips. As such, when I went last time during the summer of 2019, I remember feeling such nostalgia and happiness, and I also felt a sense of peace when I was there. The traditional territories of the Clayoquot include Tofino, Mears Island, Long Beach, and Sutton Pass. The Clayoquot First Nations people have resided here for thousands of years. Before coming together with various bands to form one nation, the Kennedy Lake peoples mainly relied on nourishment from salmon. After the bands united to form the Clayoquot, they acquired access to other sea creatures, including sea otters and whales. They also hunted deer and foraged berries and plants to supplement their diet. Currently, the Clayoquot are involved in a British treaty process, negotiating with the federal and provincial governments to gain self-government. The Clayoquot have completed various treaty agreements with the provincial government, including revenue sharing agreements for hydro projects and forest consultation. Clayoquot First Nations youth have the opportunity to access a summer day camp program, which is designed for the youth from the ages of 7 and up. These day camps are to provide Clayoquot First Nations youth the opportunity to get a chance to connect with their culture in a fun and engaging way. Before completing this assignment, I lacked a significant amount of knowledge in regards to the Indigenous nations that resided in these places. However, as I have discovered this new knowledge, and the history of these locations, I am happy that I got the chance to do so through this assignment because I have an even greater appreciation because if it weren't for Indigenous peoples sharing these lands, I would not be able to create the memories that I have been able to, and I am forever grateful for that.
Hello, everyone. I would like to acknowledge that as I work on this project, I'm residing in the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. They include, but are not limited to, the Kwantlen, Katsi, Semiahmoo, and Tsawwassen First Nations. I want to thank them and acknowledge the myriad of ways that I benefit from settler colonialism. The first place that I will mention that's special to me is my own backyard. I spent many hours digging through the soil, watching things grow, maintaining the grass and plants. Recently, I got a new puppy, so the yard has taken on a new importance, as it is where I can bring my puppy to play and frolic. It smells fantastic, and it's my little slice of paradise in the middle of Wally. I live here with my wife Shannon, our dog Leia, and our cat Sophia. As I mentioned in my territorial acknowledgement, I currently reside on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples. The land that I occupy is not covered under any treaty or agreement. These are some of the organizations that I was able to find that are available to help local Indigenous peoples. As I've been doing my research for this project, I've had a kaleidoscope of feelings come up. I grew up poor in Newfoundland. I was ostracized and made fun of by the other kids in my grade. Several teachers wanted to fail me because I tried to compensate by being the class clown that would do anything for a laugh. I was also sexually abused as a child by a teacher at an after-school program. I'm not telling you guys any of this for sympathy. I'm telling you this so you can understand why the place I picked is so very important to me. My grandfather had a summer home outside of Thunder Bay, Ontario, in a small community named Silver Islet. Silver Islet is typical Ontario cottage country on the shores of Lake Superior. It is located on the tip of the Sibley Peninsula just outside the Sleeping Giant National Park. Later, I will tell you the legend of how the sleeping giant got its name. Every summer, I got to leave Newfoundland and go to a place where I was a part of, a place where I had family and friends, a place where I could go swimming, fishing, hiking, and boating. In short, it was a needed place of safety from the rest of my life. I remember a small rocky beach where I would go to be by myself and where no one would bother me. There was also a large tree that I would hide under. It was my safe space within a safe place. I remember spending many hours listening to the waves as a child. To this day, my favorite sound is that of running water or waves, and my favorite thing to see is the sunlight through the leaves of a tree. When I was 18, my mother and I moved to Thunder Bay. I started using drugs and drinking at a young age, and when I was around 20, I broke into my grandfather's place in the fall when the family was not there, and I stole from him. When I did this, I lost the love and respect of my family, and I lost access to the family home that was such a refuge for me as a child. I'm now 41, and I've been clean and sober for over 6 years. My mother rents out the property on Airbnb, but there's no room for me to be there anymore. Maybe someday, but not today. Silver Island occupies the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Métis peoples. This land was acquired by the Crown in the Robinson Superior Treaty on September 7, 1850. This treaty was one of the very first that was negotiated, and it had the specific intent to divest the Anishinaabe peoples of the land around Lake Superior. The Crown found this land to be desirable for the large amount of mineral and precious metal deposits that permeated the area. The government sent in William J. Robinson and instructed him to, quote, extinguish all Indian titles to the land. In this treaty, the Métis people were only mentioned as half-breeds and were given no consideration whatsoever. Robinson was quoted as saying, if these half-breed families are to be included in the treaty, it would be up to the chiefs to decide to include them by sharing the benefits of the treaty with them, but that Canada would not deal with the half-breeds as a separate group or band. The Métis turned down an offer to be assimilated into the local First Nations. This offer would have meant giving up any individual identity. Because of this refusal, there were no provisions made for them in the Robinson Superior Treaty. The waters and lands surrounding what is now Silver Islet would have been used extensively by the Indigenous population for hunting and fishing. There is evidence that the early settlers from Finland and Sweden were shown how to fish by the Anishinaabe and Métis peoples. In doing my research for this project, this is the first time that I've heard about an Indigenous presence in Silver Islet. There's extensive evidence of the removal of Indigenous history from the area. The journal article I found this information in was fascinating to me for many reasons. For one, I know one of the authors, and I probably know many of their interview subjects, though they are not named. The other reason is that it specifically mentions the removal of Indigenous history from several locations around Silver Islet that I know intimately. For example, the article mentions a cemetery that is referred to as an Indigenous burial site. This place was shown to me as a resting place for people who died during the construction and operation of the silver mine. A so-called whitewashing of history is a topic that has come up repeatedly throughout this course, and I for one am incredibly grateful to be learning the actual history of Canada and not just the part that shows us on our best behavior. Some of the agencies and organizations that are in the area to assist Indigenous people are the Fort William First Nation, the Kekana Network. KNET provides information and communications technologies, telecommunication infrastructure, and application support in First Nation communities across a vast, remote region of northwestern Ontario, as well as in other remote regions in Canada. The Métis Nation of Ontario brings Métis people together to celebrate and share their rich culture and heritage, and to forward the aspirations of Métis people in Ontario as a collective. The Anishinaabe Aski Nation website provides news, upcoming events, email, and many other services. The Ontario Coalition of Aboriginal Peoples represents the rights and interests of off-reserve Aboriginal peoples, Métis, status, and non-status Indians, living in urban, rural, and remote areas throughout the province of Ontario. They are an affiliate member of the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples. Bear Clan Patrol. a non-government community organization that patrols the community to help protect the most vulnerable members from harm. This isn't an Aboriginals-only organization, but it is organized primarily by Indigenous persons based on Indigenous traditions and values, with an awareness that disappearances, accidents, and violence that it tries to prevent disproportionately affect Indigenous persons. Anishinaabe Mushkiki, Thunder Bay Aboriginal Community Health Center, establishes a primary healthcare facility within the district of Thunder Bay. So now to the legend of the sleeping giant and the white man. Not very long ago, a Native American tribe known as the Ojibwe roamed the Great Lakes region of the United States and Canada. They were much loved by the powerful god Nanebozo, who was very pleased with their industrious nature and upstanding character. Yet the times were troubled. The white man had arrived and was slowly destroying the Ojibwe way of life with their firewater and diseases. Nanebozo saw a way to help the peaceful Ojibwe, but he warned if ever his kindness was revealed to the white man, he would transform his gift into a curse and vanish into the stones. The great spirit of the deep water, Nanebozo took the Ojibwe chief by the hand and showed him a narrow tunnel in the north-northwest area of Thunder Bay in modern-day Ontario, Canada. There, the chief saw an enormous silver mine. He quickly called the rest of the tribe together, and after giving thanks and praise to Nanebozo, began to extract the ore. Soon, the Ojibwe became celebrated among the Algonquin Indians for the fine craftsmanship of their silver ornaments. Nanebozo was more beloved than ever by the Ojibwe as well as by the other tribes. However, not everyone was content to admire the blessings received by the dutiful Ojibwe tribe. The Sioux warriors grew envious of the silver decorations worn by their enemies. They tracked down the source of the silver and came upon the Ojibwe camp. They tried everything in their power to wrest the secret source of the silver from the Ojibwe tribesmen. They raided the camp, torturing and killing Ojibwe to try to make them divulge the secret location of the mine. Yet, the loyal Ojibwe never once gave away the secret of Nanebozo's kindness. Realizing that their blunt tactic was not working, the Sioux decided to take a different approach. The cunning chieftains disguised one of their most beguiling scouts as an Ojibwe tribesman and helped him to enter the camp undetected. Whilst there, the scout watched and listened. Soon, he had found out the location of the secret mine and left quickly to tell the news to his chieftains. However, on the way home, the scout made the grave mistake of stopping at a trading post for some food. Having nothing to trade, he offered one of the pieces of silver he had taken from the Ojibwe as proof of his discovery of the mine. The white trader's eyes grew wide at the sight of such pure silver. As if of one mind, the white men set upon the scout in order to find out where the ore came from. Unlike the Sioux, the white man is very crafty and subtle in his persuasion. The traders did not even mention the silver, or seem surprised that such an unassuming scout would be in possession of such riches. Instead, they offered to buy the scout a drink, and then another, and then another, and then another, until the firewater had clouded the scout's mind and loosened his tongue. Only then did the cunning white traders ask him where he acquired such beautiful silver. The naive scout agreed to show them the mine. Nanebozo is one of the most powerful gods in the Algonquin pantheon. From him, no knowledge is barred. He had watched the Sioux scout infiltrate the Ojibwe camp undetected, and decided to let events play out as they would. However, when he saw the scout grow drunk on the white man's liquor and tell them the secret source of the silver, Nanebozo knew that he had to intervene. As the scout and the two white traders made their way across the Thunder Bay, Nanebozo summoned a mighty storm. The winds howled, the rain lashed down in torrents, and the waves of Lake Superior rose to the size of mountains. The Algonquin Indians on the shores of the lake were terrified, for they knew that a storm like this could only be the work of an angry god. So the weather finally calmed. The two white traders were dead, and the Sioux scout was left, huddled in his canoe, babbling like a madman. Moreover, where once there had been a wide opening to the bay, now there was a large stone blocking the entrance. It was Nanebozo, lying on his back to block the bay. Arms neatly folded across his chest, he had vanished, just as he had foretold would happen if ever the white man knew about the silver mine. The mine itself was submerged under Nanabozo's foot. The Ojibwe, able to read the signs, abandoned their silver works and thanked Nanabozo for the time they had been allowed to access the mine. Yet the white man knows no such restraint. Mad with greed, he seeks to extract the precious ore from the bay even to this day. Yet anyone who tries to go down the mine shaft is soon met with the flooding waters of the tides. Many have died in the attempt. Even modern efforts to pump the water out of the shaft have failed. No silver has been extracted from the sleeping giant's silver islet ever since. Just so you know, dozens of people have actually died trying to extract silver from the mine. They finally gave up when a shipment of coal that was needed to keep the pumps running didn't arrive in time, and the 350-meter deep mine was reclaimed by Lake Superior. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me. I've discovered much about the land and space that is so very special to me. I've also learned about myself and my relation to the land. Rediscovering this space through the lens of this project has been a bittersweet experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn more about myself and my relations.